Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm going to call the meeting of Metro to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have a few things to do, which is always these are good things before we get started with action items and committee meetings. And the first is that we have two new board members, and they're here with us. So please join me in welcoming Kayla Gibson and Greg Simpson, and we're going to do their oath of office. Kim, can you take it away?
So I am going to read the oath of office, and all I need you to do is raise your right hand, and then at the end, if you agree, just say, I do. Okay? Nope.
You gotta stand up. We take this very seriously. Sorry.
Do solemnly swear that you will, as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority, support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, that you will honestly, faithfully, and impartially perform the duties of your office, that you will not be personally interested, directly or indirectly, in any contract let by SORTA, that you will not violate or knowingly permit to be violated any of the statutes of this state covering the operation of a transit authority, and that you will perform the duties of your office to the best of your ability, so help you God. Right? Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I want to note for the record that they have had their board orientation, and it was an amazing hour and a half covering so much. I think they've got it all figured out by now. Thanks, Pete. So we also have another guest here, Rod Hinton. And he's having a conversation there with Brandy. And I've got some prepared remarks here about expressing my gratitude on behalf of SORTA and the Metro staff for your service since 2018, Rod. It says, I really respect your dedication, grace, and seriousness.
No.
But actually, I do respect your seriousness. We work together, finance, planning, and ops. And we had a good time, but I also really appreciated your acumen, your insight on all those finance committee meetings, asking the important questions and helping the organization move forward. So thank you so much. And I think is it a motion to recognize Rod as a royal coach person? And I think we have an award here for you. Please come on up. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. That's cute. Can I grab pictures of you guys real quick? Please have me pop over. I don't know where I'll put that in my new house.
I'm trying to work on getting me one.
Oh, Gwen, did you want to hop in the photo too?
Yeah.
Quinn's is actually just a coach.
Right.
All right, you guys ready? Uh-huh. We get 3, 2, 1. Cool. Thank you guys. Thank you.
You wanna say anything?
Congratulations.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for allowing me to serve. I look at all of these opportunities in that vein, and that is that we are serving. And so I came in 2018 at the request of John Cranley for obvious reasons of the good things that we were having going on. What I ended up learning so much from the group of people that I started with in terms of how they think and how they lead, and the impact that this organization has on the quality of people's lives. And so for that, I'm always going to be grateful and always going to be a fan of SORTA. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve.
Rod, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Next on the agenda is hearings from citizens. We have nobody who signed up today, but I want to check if anybody is here who would like to make a comment. All right, I'm seeing none, so let's move forward. So chair updates. So our CEO has comments in the deck that cover most of what I might note. But I do want to draw your attention to two things. One, which is in there, school has started. I'm sorry?
You got to approve of the minute.
Oh, I'm going to do this chair update right before the minutes. So my update is school has started, service is going. I hear good things. I've been down to Government Square. I've seen good things. I think it's going really well. And I want to commend everybody here at SORTA for what they did on that. And I know we're going to continue for the rest of the year to be diligent about taking care of our entire community, including all the students at CPS. So good job. The other thing is looking towards the future. There was a BRT meeting this morning. I know Pete was there, several of the staff members. And we're looking forward to the design and construction stage and getting public inputs, community comments on how that's going to shape the future of Cincinnati. And that was a very exciting moment to have that stage moving forward. So two things to note that are going very well for SORTA. All right. We need to move on to approve the minutes and get into the committee meetings. So I will go ahead. Oh, actually, Quinn, would you like to approve them? No, I'll move the approval of the minutes. Properly moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns? All right. Is this a roll call? No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say left. Any extension? No. Okay, so we're good. It approves. So Finance Committee, I actually chaired this. There are no action items that came out of the Finance Committee this last week. I do want to note that we got an update on the sales tax, and that staff has been meeting with UC, understanding the projections, revising them. This is a topic we've covered quite extensively throughout the year. It is good to see that the numbers are looking better. Remember, we're 3 months off for that. So we're continuing to get the sales tax numbers in, which are absolutely critical for our funding moving forward. So be sure to look at that board packet if you weren't there and weren't part of that conversation. The other interesting thing, and it's great, we are much more hedged than we have been in the past. We got an updating on the fuel hedging, made a lot of progress there. More to do, and the report was that we would be probably hedging much more in the few months to come with the current prices. That brings stability to the organization moving forward. And I think everybody was getting a little nervous with our hedging position. And it turned out waiting was the right thing. So it was good to hear that in the Finance Committee meeting. So that's the update there. No action items. Planning and ops. I'm going to hand that off to Dan.
Okay, that was a quick report. Thank you, Blake. I appreciate it. We also had a great meeting, same day, just a little bit later. And we covered a lot of good news that day. So I want to thank Adrian and John, and also Mark gave a report on ridership as well that day. We determined that there are really only 2 items that needed to be on the action item agenda, and the rest we moved to consent. So I'd like to mention that. And actually, before I go into that, a couple of the highlights were that ridership, we're up 6.7%. Which is on budget and ahead of last year by 6.7%. So we're tracking well on that front. Like I said, the Metro Now was a good highlight. Our numbers there are 7,578 rides. So that's a very robust growth in that area. We expect to see, probably going to see continued growth, and managing that will be something for us to handle as a board, and certainly for the operations people. On-time performance for access was 90.7%. We felt like that was good. So those are some of the highlights. With CPS, that update, we had a great start to the school year, like Blake mentioned. We had a little bit of a discussion about that, but didn't need to go into too much detail. But there were some nice mentorship opportunities and parents helping out at the stops, and a lot of good interaction with our staff and parents and students. Us offering the parents to ride along with their students, I think, was very well received and appreciated by the community at large, especially those parents involved. So it was a nice discussion about CPS. If you look at our action items today, the first one is for the Route 11 Fifth Third relationship. Now, we've had a relationship with Fifth Third since 2004 in Madisonville, their call center, on these contracts. And so the purpose here, let me go back to this. Our purpose here, as it says in our notes, is the agreement for Route 11 bus service provides SORTA the funds to operate services to and from Fifth Third's call center. Under the terms of this agreement, SORTA operates 7 outbound trips from the Madisonville campus on weekday mornings and 6 inbound Route 11 trips to Fifth Third Madisonville facility on weekday afternoons. So it's a good employment transit opportunity for us to support. And our request today is to continue the contract. And I'll entertain, hopefully you've seen it in your notes. I'll entertain a motion to approve that action item.
So moved.
Mr. Metz moves. Ms. Clark seconds. Gwen? Discussion?
I read the notes and I remember the discussion. Is this precedent setting?
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Into,
No, what I was stating is I read the notes and I remember us making this agreement. Is this precedent setting a service? Because if another company asks us to do the same, would they get the same service?
that's a good question. We've been doing this since 2004. Would Haled be a good person to talk about this, or Daryl or Andy?
Yes, we would do this for other companies
I mean, that's the question.
as well, and we have done it for other companies as well. Any company that would like to talk to us about deviating some of our bus service to make sure their employees have access to work, we would love to talk to them about that.
And then just for the rest of the board, can you recall the amount of traffic or individuals that were serviced daily? It was in the hundreds. It was quite a few, but just for the edification of the board.
You mean with Route 11 specifically? So the number of employees at the Fifth Third Madison Call Center, do you have a sense of that, Haled? I do not, but.
Unfortunately, no, I do not have for that particular location. We can certainly provide that. But I just want to make clear that Fifth Third Bank is paying us under this contract to deviate the service. So we do get requests from some other businesses where the closest bus stop may be half a mile away from their offices, and they want to provide better transit service to their employees or customers. So we look at the logistics of it, if it makes sense to deviate without delaying the rest of the ridership, the riders on the buses. If it is a matter of an extra minute or two on board our buses, and that entity is willing to compensate us for that, extra service, let's call it, then sure, we would be more than happy to accommodate that. And that's the deal, is we deviate the bus. It's about half a mile from Madisonville, goes into the Fifth Third Bank campus, serves a couple stops over there, and then goes back to the main route and continues the route. And for that, Fifth Third would pay us about $55,000 a year to do that deviation.
And although none of us have the actual ridership here with us, we do have access to that ridership. So we'll send it out to the board so that you have those numbers.
Okay, and probably the estimates are probably the number of riders, there's certainly a number of routes go into these estimates of $55,000 or so, I would think, the contract. So we're voting today on year 1 and 2, so 54,000 and change, year 2, $55,500, and there are options for year 3 and 4. And you can see there it's almost 57,000 and about 58,000. So that's what would be, the project financing for this, the direct contract with Fifth Third. So the motion's on the table. Mr. Metz and Ms. Clark, motion and seconded. Do we need to do a roll call for this?
We do.
Okay.
And you ask everyone if they're in favor.
I do. So we don't do a roll, I just ask everyone.
Both.
We do both. Okay.
We'll do the roll call. You asked everyone if they're in favor.
Okay. So we'll take a roll call, and if everyone's in favor, signify by saying aye. Right, Natalie, or do we do a roll call?
And then we'll do the roll call.
Okay.
Mr. Bryce? Yes. Ms. Clark? Yes. Mr. Driehaus?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson? Mr. Kelly? Yes. Mr. Metz?
Yes.
That's okay.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sheets? And Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, good. Natalie, thank you for taking us through that. Okay, our next item is the lease agreement that we talked about with Harley Davidson. So this one, I don't feel like I knew as much as I did about the Fifth Third. But Haled, would you mind coming to the microphone and telling us a little bit more about the history here and our growth in that area and why we have this opportunity with the Harley Davidson site?
Sure. To make a long story short, a couple years ago, we thought there was an interest in the owners of that property, which is literally right next to our access facility. That's where our paratransit service operates. They were kind of interested in selling that property. We showed interest in acquiring it, but then it didn't go anywhere until a couple months ago, we received a call from them that they're serious about relocating from that location, and we wanted to see if we're still interested in acquiring it. We certainly were, because access facility is running out of space in terms of the maintenance facility itself, as well as the parking of the access vehicles. And if you recall, we just started a new service, Metro Now, that's operating out of the access facility. Even though we only have 2 zones operating out of 6, we're already cramped in there, and we're literally out of space. So this is a great opportunity for us to expand our access facility to accommodate not only the access service, but also the Metro Now service as it grows. And it's, literally adjacent, sharing the same boundaries of access. So just because, we need to go through federal requirements in terms of NEPA and so on and so forth, they were willing to lease us the property at the meantime at about $150,000 or so a year until we do our due diligence. And then that will lead, to further discussions with them. We will get access to the property, even though they'll still be there, but we will get access to the property so we can park our vehicles at their facility as we're leasing it, and provide us, that expansion that we need. We hope that eventually it will lead into acquiring that property. It also has a huge structure there that's relatively new, about less than 20 years old, that is ideal for our maintenance services as well, as it relates to access and Metro Now. So the ask here is to approve a lease at $156,000 a year with an option to renew for 1 more year.
Great. And so the project cost would be $156,000 a year. And as Haled mentioned, we'll be able to do surveys and studies and our due diligence to see if in the future we want to expand and take over that parcel. So I'll entertain a motion to approve. Ms. Clark makes a motion. KZ seconds. All those we need to do roll call?
We'll do a roll call.
Okay.
Mr. Bryce? Yes. Ms. Clark? Yes. Mr. Driehaus?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson? Yes. Mr. Kelly? Yes. Mr. Metz? Yes. Ms. Robinson? Yes. Ms. Sheets? Mr. Smith?
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone.
Does it mean all the bikers are gone?
All the bikers are gone.
Hey, hey,
No. No.
they woke.
We were saying that in the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, the words that they got to use were a lot different than the words we got to use. Harley Davidson being some cool words we had to use. Okay, so on your agenda, you'll see the consent items. At this point, we ask if anybody would like to move anything off of the consent agenda. We went through each item in committee. Okay, that being the case, I'll put forth a motion to approve all the items on consent. Is there a second to that motion? Ms. Clark seconds. Do we roll call or not?
Mr. Bryce?
Discussion? Discussion. So you see the projects in the chart before us, especially for our new members. What we like to do is show the matrix of our procurements. And in green, you'll see specifically our diversity spend. Do we have the total? There it is. Supplier diversity summary. You'll see now year to date, we're tracking at, I think that's 13.4% diversity spend. So that's something that we actively track here at SORTA for the new members. And those in non-green are not diversity spend items. If we could go back up to the items themselves. Okay, so these are the these are the items on our consent agenda. We made the motion and seconded. And do we take the roll for this?
We sure do.
Okay.
Mr. Bryce? Yes. Ms. Clark? Yes. Mr. Driehaus?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson? Mr. Kelly? Yes. Mr. Metz? Yes. Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sheets? Yes. And Mr. Smith?
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Natalie, and thank you all for that approval of those consent items. Now we move it back to Blake, and then you throw it over to Ms. Sheets. Thank you.
Mr. Driehaus.
Yes, sir. KZ?
7th and 8th graders riding the bus. I heard you say that the parents were saying they thought it went real well. Did we get a lot of parents to come out for that, or did we track how many parents?
How
We did
do we
not
track
track
the
the
numbers?
number of parents that use the system. We communicated through CPS and through our own communication outlets that if parents wanted to ride with their students those first 2 weeks of school, it would be free and operators would allow them on the bus. But we didn't have a means to gather that data, so to speak. Anecdotally, we saw a handful of parents out on the system those mornings and those afternoons, mostly of the newest students, right? The 7th and 8th graders that are new to the system.
How about, do we have parent volunteers or residents that volunteered to help shepherd the kids on and off the buses or not?
We had over 40 Metro administrative staff
Okay.
volunteer their time to work either at transit centers in the morning or afternoon to help those students find their way.
Okay.
And anything else that happened outside of those Metro volunteers was coordinated through others.
Okay, thanks. And just for the benefit of our newest members, we've had a contract with CPS for some time, but this was an expansion into the 7th and 8th grade classes to utilize SORTA Metro. And was it 3.5 million? I don't remember. 3.5 million. The contract was expanded by that amount to handle those grades. So that's why specifically the parent involvement and the employee involvement with the kids getting on and off the bus and getting familiar with how to ride Metro was really important. KZ, do you have any more questions or feedback?
And
What was the total, do we know the total increase of the 7th and 8th graders on last year?
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Go
Just
ahead.
point of clarification. The contract last year we carried about 10,000. We had about 10,000 students that were registered with bus passes and used bus passes, and that equates to about a $3.5 million contract last year. We anticipate an increase of probably another 1,000 new 7th and 8th graders. There were 7th and 8th graders on the system last year. These are folks that opted yellow bus last year that don't have that option this year. We're anticipating somewhere between 1,000 and 1,400 new 7th and 8th graders. So that would bump it up to about 11,000 students, which would be somewhere between 3.5 and 3.75 million.
Oh, I see.
total contract value.
Any more discussion about really any of the items on our agenda? Okay, well, thanks for approving those items, and we'll throw it back to Blake.
Thank you, Dan. I think this will be a continued topic of interest in the months to come. Well, almost every month. And we'll have more and more data on the student ridership as they're writing, because that's how the system's structured, that we actually will know the people, and they're doing that analysis every day. All right, so now we have not always committee, but very, very exciting committee in infrastructure, bike, and row. Sarah Sheets, can you take it away?
Yes, thank you very much. Happy to report on the Not Always Committee. The Infrastructure, Bike, and Right-of-Way Committee. We had a great meeting last week, and thank you for everyone who was there. Tonight, we get to consider the approval of the recommended 2024 Transit Infrastructure Fund projects. And like in previous rounds, we received a robust number of applications and high-quality applications. There were 39 proposals from 25 different municipalities. And tonight, what we would like people to consider is approving the awards for 9 different projects to 7 jurisdictions. And Natalie is going to pull up the slide that shows the applications and then the recommended project. So it's the next slide, please. So, and I'm going to rely on Halad to answer some specific questions if anyone has any, but you can see that we received quite a robust number of applications from a diverse number of municipalities in Hamilton County, which is great to see. I just love seeing how many municipalities choose to participate in this program. Unlike previous years where we've had more projects funded, this year we have a fewer number of projects funded, and that is largely due to the fact that 2 of the projects, the City of Cincinnati Victory Parkway safety improvements and the Sycamore Township North Connectivity Project, are larger dollar item projects. So they are taking up, a greater amount of the funding that was available, which was about $19 million. So we want to consider approving these projects. These projects that are in front of you in the green, plus the $14.5 million for the Western Hills Viaduct. And with that being said, I think, can I make a motion to approve them and then open it up? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve these projects and open it up to discussion. Second. Thank you, Chelsea.
Natalie, could you scroll up to the timeline slide again? I just want to, I hadn't wrapped my head around when sort of if we approve this and it goes to the integrating committee and when we expect the dollars to go out. Okay, so Q4. Thanks.
So as we go forward with this, one question that I have, and I know we discussed this a couple meetings back around, there's some projects that are lagging that still haven't been completed from a considerable time ago. I would be interested in how fast people get it done, the speed of execution. And then I know, again, we're going to start incorporating that as we look forward, but also like a report card of you got it done fast, benefits the community sooner. That is a positive in your favor when we come to reevaluate. You get it done slower, that is a negative. So we want to try and incentivize folks. And again, I know we talked about this. I know that was part of our discussion, what was coming, but just wanted to reiterate that.
To that point, it would be worth, OKI has some policies around how quickly dollars have to flow out, some of which is federally driven, but they do also have a less of a carrot and more of a stick if you end up in that position where you have to give money back. And, I think being able to track where those dollars are, and I'm not saying implement those yet, but understand it and then be able to prepare for it.
During committee, I don't remember if it was Jason or Daryl, but we mentioned there were 95 projects that have been, I think, approved. 20 have been completed. 10 are over 80% complete. Is that right? Okay. So just in round numbers, we don't have that matrix in front of us, but those are some round numbers that you provided us.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Dan.
With that still being under half, 30 out of the 90 projects, is there any communication that's sent from us to them by quarter that say, well, either you're on track or you're not, because I'm sure when they submitted the application, they had to also submit that timeline of work, and how, to see how much they are in alignment with that timeline would also be nice to know.
Yeah, good question, Chelsea. Each project is certainly different than the others. Some projects are relatively small that can be completed in 6 months to 8 months. Others are multi-year projects, so all of that plays into it. The contract does require that they start construction within a year from the award time. Many projects haven't started in a year, and we were kind of cutting them some slack because it's a new program. People are not aware of it, in terms of the nuances of it, and we just want to be a little bit more accommodating initially. We've been getting a little bit tougher and tougher with time. So if you remember, 2 years ago, we came to the board to approve, make changes to the guidelines, and we changed some of the criteria where we added a penalty. So if some of these projects, based on history, if a municipality hasn't been implementing projects on time or haven't been responsive, then they're gonna score lower on that particular criterion. It's still a new program. We're still making these modifications. To your point, we probably need to tighten that a little bit more as well. But in terms of communications, yes, there's constant communication going between us and the awardees, because they have to submit reimbursement reports. They have to submit quarterly reports, status reports, as well as annual status reports. Many of them don't submit those on time, so we still have to contact them and stay on their case until they submit. They've gotten way better at this over the past couple of years. I think we're receiving things on a regular basis from most of them. Sometimes it takes an email or two to remind them. But there's that constant communication that's going on almost on a daily basis or weekly basis. But expect us coming back to this board to tighten a few things further.
That'd be wonderful. Yes. Holly, that penalty point that you were talking about, that shows up in their subsequent applications, right?
Correct.
What is the range on that deduction, or does it look like a deduction, or is it how is it weighted?
Yeah, it is a separate criterion among the 12 other ones, and as a single criterion, the value isn't huge as percentage. I can't remember really what the numbers are, but it may be like about 5% of the total. It may not seem much, but then overall, it could be a difference between getting money or not. It could determine where you're going to rank, right, and receive money or not. We didn't want to go too far with that, initially, but we may need to ratchet that up a little bit. And we're also considering, working with our consultants, maybe some changes to the contract language itself, in terms of other things that we'll bring to you as recommendations.
Thank you.
But overall, I think, Dan, yeah, you're right. You said, about 20 projects and about 10 or so other projects are 80%, so almost 30% projects or 30% complete. That doesn't mean that the other projects haven't started. So the other projects are already, underway. They've started. Others are in the bidding process, and so on.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is going to be an area that we continue to evaluate as the program matures, and we're going to learn a lot. The other thing is, we're still in some ways in construction coming out of this pandemic, and it's gotten a lot better in terms of pricing and timing and availability of contractors. But there's been, a lot, I think, that is in some cases out of the applicant's control. So I think there's a lot to consider, and moving forward, perhaps at our next meeting, we can dig deeper into this topic.
When we dig deeper into this topic, I'd also like to see what the other kind of like advertising strategies will be, or reach outs, because we also talked about how the bulk of these, it was upwards of 80% were previous applicants, and we're still struggling to reach some of our other municipalities that could utilize the services and just learn about this program. So just would like to see that as well, please.
think it's great that we're asking these questions right now. The program is maturing, and I think initial years there were some more immediate questions, and now we're seeing, oh, well, how are these projects getting completed? It would be good to refine, I think, our questions to staff for the board on what exactly do we want to see. You know, number of months from award to and then the status. I hear an interesting question about is it a year out that they were supposed to start building? What was their project timeline? I think we should work together on this so that when we get to revising the rules, we'll be ready to have that conversation.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Thinking forward on that. Now, Dale, did you want to jump in on something?
Yes, for our newer board members, you are approving this list of awards to go to the integrating committee. The integrating committee has final approval on whether these projects get funded or not. So the way the process works is they send the applications to us. We score them. The SORTA board approves the projects to then go to the integrating committee, who has final approval of the awards. I just wanted to make that clear.
And there's an independent, or well, a contracted firm, or is it two firms that do the scoring for us based on the rules that we have approved. So the scores here, the weighted scores you'll see on the right on the screen, are based on that evaluation of the projects. That's all been done earlier this year to get us to this point.
No, thank you. And I'll just say also to Mr. Gibson and Mr. Simpson, it's once you get more familiar with these lists and the projects, it's really fun to drive around town and see our signs out and see the improvements that we're making. Khaled and his team also do a great job of showing us before and after pictures. So you'll be able to see the impact pretty immediately. So, okay, so we have a motion on the table to approve moving these projects forward to the integrating committee. And Natalie
I did
will.
not hear a
sorry.
second yet.
Oh, I heard a second. Yeah.
I'll second it,
Yeah.
but I also
Oh,
have a
okay.
question.
Okay.
Since my hand's up. What is in our scoring criteria? So just based off of my experience in working in a small community, I'm always just gonna like look at these and like want to stick up for them. So I noticed one that scored like 0.11 below the last project that was rewarded and asked for the smallest amount, but was not awarded that amount for sidewalks, Village of Woodlawn. So I'm not trying to be critical of why they didn't get money versus others.
These are the
but-
great questions.
Yes.
Keep going.
But
That's fine.
what-
That's
Yeah.
the question that was asked in the beginning.
Okay, but what is like within the criteria? How is it graded on like people who ask for smaller amounts? Do they get, I don't know, bonus points, or do they get graded on different scales, or how does that work?
We will email out to the board the criteria so you guys can review the criteria, and we should probably have a larger discussion in the Planning and Ops Committee. No, it doesn't have anything to do with the size or the dollar amount of the project. One of the things that's really nice as we set this whole process up, this board can change the criteria every year. So what we've done is we've had conversations after every year, after every award year, about based on what the process looked like and what awards were done, this board's able to make changes to the criteria. So it's we're getting ready to go through our 4th year of awards. So it'll be time to have that conversation with this board about, are there any criteria changes that you're interested in? And our team, as well as our consultants, will make recommendations to us. So there will be a conversation coming up at her committee to talk about, are there any criteria changes, Sarah's committee, that we should make. But what we'll do is we'll send out the criteria to all the board members so you guys can familiarize yourself with it. So when that conversation comes up, we can have a robust conversation.
Yeah, that's great. And Neil, that's a great question. It reminds me of a city grant program called the Neighborhood Business Districts Improvement Program, where the neighborhood business districts compete for funding for their business districts. And they actually organize it so that there's a large grant and or major grant and a minor grant program, so that the smaller projects are not competing with the bigger projects. And looking at those numbers makes me wonder if that's an example of a criteria or a way we should separate out the program. So I think there are lots of ways we can work on this.
In past years, this looked very different. In past years, the first year, we awarded every application that came. In the second year, there were only a few that we didn't award. In the third year, there was a small number that we didn't award. As time goes on and things change and more people put applications in, it changes, which is why we set this up so that we could relook at it every year.
I do, at the risk of getting too deep into committee conversation, I do think that we need to be cautious about the changes we make year over year. These should be evolutions, because I do know in talking to some of these local communities, once they get their head around the types of projects that are going to score well, they want to build a pipeline. And if we start sort of shifting the lanes every year, then it's hard for them to plan and say, what should we bring forward? Right. I do want, one of my big takeaways from this is that, we've clearly valued how much local money you bring to the table, right? If you look at some of these projects, they're 50% matches. That's clearly something we value, or at least have valued in the past. And I think that's driving a lot of sort of how we see selection.
And I would just add to that, Neil, if you're not aware, and perhaps for new folks, that our staff goes through some great lengths at making sure there's educational workshops and opportunities for these communities to learn what they want to see, and to help guide them through that process. And then in previous projects as well, they are able to get that information so they can analyze for their own purposes to help with their new applications. So it's a nice support system as well.
One of the takeaways should also be, and it's okay to talk about it right now in this meeting, I think, not just committee, is that the percentage that goes toward the city of Cincinnati versus other jurisdictions. I mean, has a major impact on the number of green rows that are on this list. So we have a lot of money flowing to Cincinnati this year. That's pretty clear, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about that.
Thank you. Okay, well, the motion has been made and seconded. Natalie?
Mr. Bryce? Yes. Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Driehaus?
Yes.
Mr. Etheridge?
Yes.
Mr. Gibson?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Metz?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sheets?
Yes.
And Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So suggest that you send out to the board all of the projects we have funded, because when you look at this list, it's not as diverse as it was at the beginning.
Yes. That would be nice to see a summary.
You understand what in terms of neighborhood, and particularly the neighborhood and the,
We have that information. We can send that
right. I think they should see that we have, we're broader than the list that we approved today.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
I think it's
I'll
pretty.
add thank you to you and Jason for running another great round of funding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sheets. I generally call people by their first names, and I am adjusting. So thank you, Sarah. I think it is abundantly clear from the discussion we just had that we should move forward with this analysis, evaluation, and get another committee meeting scheduled to do that as soon as we have the information. I know we have the information already, but we organize it and have it ready to present. So, all right, those are all the action items for today, but it is very important we go over the financial results. Mr. Aiello or Mr. Walker?
It's Tim. Thank you, Mr. Etheridge.
Okay.
I think Mr. Etheridge gave a bit of a high-level summary of kind of the key items that we discussed last week. We went through the financials in detail, so I won't do that now unless there's some questions. I guess from a high level year to date, we're slightly under the revenue budget, primarily driven by the sales tax shortage that we saw the first few months. It is ramping back up. And on the expense side, we are favorable, meaning we have fewer expenses. So right now, year to date, we're call it $2.7 million favorable, or we have a surplus of $2.7 million year to date. And we're managing that as best we can. Also focusing in on the sales tax. That is top of mind for all of us. So unless there's any questions, we can move on. All right. Thank you, everyone.
One aberration in the financials that you might see as you're going over it was the one-time payments out associated with the new contract for operators. So be aware of that as you're looking over the financials, right?
Yeah, the one thing, so when you look at it, it's especially highlighted on the graph that you'll see the wages and benefits for the month of July, because we had a one-time bonus payment along with a small retro, which is, again, that was a one-time item for the new CBA that we entered into.
I note that just because it threw me for a minute when I was looking at it, and I wanted to save you guys the time of confusion that I had. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Metro on the move, Mr. Haley.
Thank you. So last year we celebrated our 50th anniversary, our 50th birthday, on August 15th. Metro turned 51. So we're getting close to AARP. One other thing to note, I want to thank the board members that came to our Metro Family Day. We really appreciated those that came. We're really excited. It was August 17th and 18th. It was at Kings Island. It was an opportunity for all of Metro and family members to get together. And I am proud to say that we had over 3,000 attendees at our Family Day. If you want to talk about culture change, we are making a difference, not only in the community, but within the organization. People really enjoy what they do, and they enjoy serving the community. Blake talked about back to school. We were happy to welcome the new seventh graders, but also the seventh graders that used us last year, and the 9th through 12th graders who have used us for many years. We are an award-winning organization, so it is nice to see that we recently were named a finalist for the 2024 All About Women Best Places to Work in the Women of Color category. So keep your fingers crossed. Maybe we'll win that one. Speaking of awards, congratulations to our procurement team. They were recognized with an Achievement of Excellence Award by the National Procurement Institute for demonstrating high proficiency, innovation, professionalism, and productivity. And as of note, Metro is the only transit system in Ohio to ever win this recognition. Also, our superstar, congratulations to our Chief Communications and Marketing Officer, Brandy Jones, on being recognized by Cincinnati Magazine as a Power 100 Rising Star. I don't know if there's anything else for Brandy to win. We're going to have to make up some stuff now. As part of our service change for August, we have a new route, the Route 61 on Galbraith Road. It is our new crosstown out in the county. It runs 7 days a week, every 30 minutes, and every 45 minutes on the weekends. The route connects Kenwood Mall, Greyhound Bus Station, and UC Drake. We continue to reinvent Metro. We continue to make sure that the service that we put out connects people to all of the places that they need to go. So I am excited about the new service that we put out in August, and we'll be updating the board as ridership numbers come in. I'll also ask the board to please mark your calendars and plan to join us for the State of Metro biannual meeting. It will be on October the 9th, and in your email soon, you'll get some more details on that. We know how to have an event. So we're looking forward to having our State of Metro biannual meeting October 9th. And we have a lot of really, really good news to share with the community.
Do you know the location yet?
Brandy, do we? Sharonville Convention Center. There are more details to come. We'll get time and whatnot to you. I'm
And
happy
Bob-
to answer any questions.
I don't have a question, but I would like to add, if we are in a celebratory fashion, we had our very own KZ Smith and his family were recognized as the Family of the Year for the Black Family Reunion Cincinnati.
Thank you, Chelsea.
We got our own Huxtables.
I was gonna bring that up.
I think we all were. I had a plan. I was like, the
Yeah,
staff
I'm gonna
wins
bring
lots of
that up.
awards, but
One of the things I want to acknowledge, this is a wonderful report, and, I'm sorry, it's a wonderful report, and for the new members, get used to it. There's a lot of opportunities here, and it needs all of us to be a part of making it happen. I would also like to acknowledge and thank the staff for allowing me to sit with them at different events. I learned a little bit more. I got a chance to meet. You got to laugh a little bit more though. You know, we have fun. But the reason I bring that up is that when I walked into the room, many of the people who knew me, they knew what table I was going to be at. They said, you with Metro. So that tells you Metro is getting out there and is known. So I want to thank you for that opportunity, not only to participate, but be with the staff.
And Daryl, I didn't have a question, but just a comment, particularly on the Metro Day at Kings Island. So I did participate, and it was really great seeing the amount of people with those shirts on and the neon bags walking around. But most importantly, it was people walking around with their families, and how you expanded the Metro family to include individuals' families, and the joy on the kids' faces to be at Kings Island and at Soak City was incredible. So kudos to you and the staff for actually putting that together and keeping that rolling.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wonderful.
right.
Question.
KZ, yeah.
Will Metro be involved anyway with the bridge project coming up?
The Brent Spence Bridge. Haled and I are both members of the advisory committee for the Brent Spence Bridge. There will be some traffic delays as they work on connecting the bridge to Fort Washington Way and all those things. We'll be kept up to date, but it won't have a significant impact on our operation. As the project creeps north of the river, we'll have to make some minor adjustments, but we don't expect significant impact, and we'll be informed all along the way.
And we can keep the board up to date as things progress.
I may be on the team, so I just want to make sure there's no conflict.
That's great.
Kim, I don't think there would be, would there? Thanks for asking, though. Thank you.
Also wanted to let you know, I threw out the first pitch to Cincinnati Reds. So
Yeah.
since Hunter Green is down, I'm gonna have to miss some board meetings.
And it got across the plate.
That was the question. Did it get to the catcher?
Yeah, it got to the catcher. Yeah, but he had to crawl to get it. He had to crawl sideways to get it, but he made it.
The guy would have struck out.
That's absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much. Is there any new business? If not, I think we are through our agenda except for an executive session. So at this point, I think I have to make a motion that we go into the executive session. I've got it here under section 121.22G3, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action. So I'm moving that we go into executive session.